Hi everybody, welcome to Nerd Butler Video Episode 1. Today we're going to talk about net neutrality and why everybody who uses the internet should care about this. You might have actually tripped over this yesterday. A bunch of major websites as a form of protest or to raise awareness had some kind of display on their site or did something to their service to make you aware of what the potential is if net neutrality is not something that we take seriously. Netflix, Twitter, there were a bunch of others that participated in this in a variety of ways. Some video broadcasts went in black and white to show what an old-fashioned internet might look like. Others just slowed down their services and made it more difficult for people to use their service. So what is net neutrality and why should everyone who uses the internet care about it? The simplest way of describing net neutrality is the idea that no matter what website you're trying to get to and what method you're using to get there, the connection should be done in the same way regardless of those two things. So let's take an example. If you're trying to get to Netflix, it shouldn't matter if you're using your AT&T phone or your Verizon phone or your Spectrum cable or your Comcast cable. The easiest way to understand this is by thinking about telephones. The Telecommunications Act of 1936 mandated that telephone carriers were common carriers as opposed to contract carriers. Common carriers means they are not allowed to pick and choose who they serve. If you have a telephone and someone else has a telephone, you are allowed to call them, they are allowed to call you, and the telephone company itself cannot make a rule preventing that. So let's imagine if you have an AT&T cell phone and your partner has a Verizon cell phone. AT&T and Verizon cannot determine that it's going to cost you more to call their phone or that you're not able to call their phone except between 6 p.m. and 8 a.m. or only on Thursdays. They can't make rules like that. Because telephones are considered common carrier, if you provide telephone service, you have to be interconnected with everyone else who provides telephone service. Net neutrality is the equivalent of that for the internet. And currently, there's very little regulation and no enforcement of this policy. So where do we already see this? There's a term called zero rating, which is the idea on your cell phone, and you've seen the ads for this. It's a big push now in marketing. It's the idea that if you have a Verizon or a T-Mobile or an AT&T plan, you can stream all the video you want from Netflix or from Hulu or from Comcast. You can stream all of that video and it won't count against your mobile data cap. That's zero rating, meaning when I use this particular kind of data, it counts zero against my data limit. Now, that's great for consumers in one sense, that you have all of this data that is unlimited, but it's only unlimited for the services that your telephone provider has determined and has deals with. The problem becomes it's very difficult for anyone to start a new video streaming service. It's very difficult for a streaming service that doesn't have an agreement with that particular phone company to get users on that platform. Now, on one hand, this is a very capitalist idea. People need to make money. They should be allowed to make whatever deals they want. However, when you buy an internet connection, whether it's on your mobile device or in your home, when you buy that internet connection today, I'm assuming you bought it with the idea that you could access the entire internet in an equal fashion. So let's look at another example. What if I have a Google Mail, a Gmail account, and you have a Yahoo Mail account? What if your cable provider or your internet provider at your home did a deal with Yahoo that said they would deliver Yahoo Mail faster to you than they would deliver Google Mail? Or what if, in the extreme case, they said, what if they will only deliver Yahoo Mail, or they would only deliver Google Mail once per day? So now everyone you know that's sending you mail from a Yahoo address to your Yahoo address, the email is getting there instantaneously. Anyone who has a Gmail account, their email is getting to you at midnight that night, and you'll see it the next morning. Or vice versa, you send an email to someone with a Google address from your Yahoo address, and it gets delivered at midnight, so they'll see it the next morning. Suddenly, the whole concept of email has changed. It's not relatively instantaneous anymore. So net neutrality is the idea that internet providers should be treated as common carriers, that they should not be able to make rules about this website loads faster or this email gets delivered first. The people who provide the connection to the internet should not be allowed to make rules about which pieces of the internet are going to load faster. So that's the net neutrality argument in a bundle. What we see now is cable companies, which produce television shows, also own internet provider companies, which provide internet. So is it in a cable company's best interest to make Netflix as fast as it can possibly be? Because when people are watching Netflix, they're not watching their cable television. It's not. The cable company wants you to watch their programming and not the Netflix programming. So this is why a lot of people believe that this industry should be regulated as a common carrier. If I am paying for Netflix and I am paying for internet service, I should be able to get Netflix at the speed that I am paying my internet provider for. The internet provider should not be allowed to turn down the speed just for Netflix because they don't have a sponsorship deal with Netflix. Now, Netflix has enough money to overcome this. They just make the deals. Google has enough money to overcome this. They just make the deals. But Netflix, Hulu, Google, Yahoo, all of these companies were once small startups. The fact that they are now taking over the world is great, but what we're really limiting is not the Googles and the Facebooks and the Yahoos and the Amazons of the world. What we're really limiting is the next great idea. We're also running into a situation where the possibility exists that the cable companies, that the cellular companies, the telecommunication companies that provide your internet service are going to start deciding what news you get to see, not through censorship, not by blocking a site and saying we don't agree with this news so you're not going to see it. What they're going to do is make CNN load slower than Yahoo News. They're going to make the Drudge Report load faster than Fox News. And so now, even though they're not censoring the internet, what they are doing is driving your behavior. If they slow down Facebook because they believe that some other platform is better, that's not the internet you're paying for. So the internet providers believe that they should be allowed to make revenue from whatever channels they like and make whatever deals they like. There is some argument to that, I understand. But the internet has become not a luxury, but a necessity. There are bills that can only be paid online. Some doctor's offices only take appointments online. Some banks do not have physical locations. They only exist online. So if I'm not allowed to get to my bank unless I have the right cell phone plan, or if I'm not allowed to pay my electric bill unless I have the right internet provider at my home, those are deals that are very real that could very easily happen in the near future. This is why net neutrality is such a big deal. This is why you should care about it, because you use the internet every day, and you need to understand that when you log on to the internet, you are logging on to the whole internet and not one piece of it. So I'm going to put some links up over my shoulder, over this shoulder over here. Links up where you can learn more information, things you can do. There was a day of protest yesterday that you might have seen, but there are definitely ways you can communicate with the FCC, which is the regulating body involved here. There are ways you can communicate with your congressman. And I hope that this has explained a little bit about why you should care. And I look forward to doing more of these videos talking about different kinds of technology and how to make them simpler for you and make them more useful. Thanks. I hope you tune in again. Looking for more technology tips and information? Be sure to check out Nerd Butler on all of these platforms.